All right, well, we're going to do another Great Sieges game from Worthington here on the channel. This is 1759 Siege of Quebec, second edition. This is the game that I was actually most excited to get from the three that I backed. And very similar, if you've watched the video on 1565 Siege of Malta, with a few slight differences. I can see kind of how the system is evolving through the games. Now, I would say it's about 95% the same. You can see that the British essentially start are sort of on three sides of the St. Lawrence, with the French in white, their defenders here. We have some artillery emplacements, the French guns at Quebec City, the British guns here. It's going to be important that we knock out those artillery pieces so we can move the British fleet down here a lot easier. And that's going to mean that we can then start taking units from our reserve and marching them up the cliffs to the Plains of Abraham, where we can then hopefully take the French out. Now, unlike Siege of Malta, you are allowed to just choose the same order over and over, which is interesting. So if I decided that attacking villages, up here or down here was the correct approach, and I'm playing the British, by the way, then I could just keep doing that. Like Siege of Malta, there are aggressive actions. You only get 4 of them in the game, and they kind of get worse the more you use them. You can see that a lot of just even exchanges on the first one, but as you go, there's more of a chance to get minus British morale. So we're going to probably want to hang on to those until we sense that we have an advantage. Most of the orders are pretty simple. You've got 3 different options for attacking the French here, the French down here, or the French in here. You've also got the ability to move troops, like I said, from this, mostly probably from this spot to other places. The guns can bombard, and then we can hopefully get some British troops here and knock out the French here on the Plains of Abraham outside the city. To win the game, it's going to be, again, a morale system, both sides starting at 10 morale here. The British can also win if they knock out all of these French troops here in Quebec City. And they'll obviously need to do that by getting the army here to the plains. So I decided I would play the British, see if we can recreate some history here. We've got the French deck over here. Now, I'm not going to go through... Oh, I should also mention the Native Americans here. The French can actually, I think, raid with these. We'll see some cards come out potentially that cause Native American raids on the map. But for the most part, it's going to be... I'm primarily going to be using these 4 orders to start with until I can get some troops in position, and then we'll see some of the other stuff. I'm not going to take you through order by order, card by card. I'll just kind of stop when interesting stuff is happening and come back. But I hope you enjoy this. If you've watched Malta, this probably won't be too different from that, but obviously French and Indian War, a little different in terms of the theme and some of the mechanics here. So let's get started. This should take me, probably about an hour to play. I did read the 2-player rules on this, by the way, and it looks very fun. I can't wait to try this 2 players. I might try and get it to the table this weekend and just see how it plays where you're trying to outguess your opponent's maneuvering. So here we go. Battle of Quebec, 1759, Siege of Quebec, the end of the French and Indian War. All right, well, we're about halfway through the deck, through the game here, as you can see, and it's been just a nightmare for the British. It's been a slog. So the British mainly opened by focusing a bombardment on the city, and they got some great opening rolls. They managed to take out one of the French emplaced gun positions here, and then they weren't doing any hits. They were doing some misses, but it was demoralizing the French quite a bit. Just constant bombardment across the St. Lawrence. Then the British decided, after they couldn't get that final gun out, and they didn't want to go too much further without reducing the French morale, so they did start making some attacks up here in the North Shore villages. That was going okay for a time. We had reduced the French morale a little bit, and then there were some counterattacks launched by the French. That caused double losses for the British, and then they rolled really poorly a couple of times. So actually half of this particular unit at Montmorency was eliminated. So we had to try and move some units from Orléans, the reserves, across, trying to finish off this North Shore village here, because there are cards in the deck that give the French back morale based on the number of units that are left up there. So we're trying to wipe that and clear that out so we can then begin to refocus on the city. The problem is that as I was trying to move those units, I wasted 3 turns trying to get them out of there. The first time, they would only fail on a 6. They rolled a 6 and they failed to move. The second time, the orders were canceled because of command confusion by the British. And then the third time was bad weather, so no one could actually move out of there. And so finally, I was able to get units there. It took 4 whole cards, but as you can see, we're quite a ways through and we haven't made the progress that we've been wanting to. So I may go back to just trying to bombard the city. If I can get rid of that final gun emplacement, I can then try and move these ships down. I may actually just start to try and move the ships down anyway, so I can start getting some units up here. But it's looking very dicey for the British at this particular moment. French command has really been interdicting their attempts to get some leverage. All right, well, we're probably another 25% of the way through the game at this point. The British still failing to make headway. One of their ships was forced back by artillery fire from the French forces. However, the British gun emplacements and another volley exchange across the river managed to destroy the last French gun emplacement here. That's great. That means we can start moving some of these ships down. I need to get 2 of these ships to this position here, and then I can start moving units either from Levis or from other places and get them lined up in the Plains of Abraham. So that's what we're going to try and do. We don't have a ton of cards left in the deck, but if we can do that, then I might use my aggressive commander action to attack the city. And if I can do that, I might be able to do some morale losses. French morale and British morale close, but the British have taken a couple more hits in some of these operations than the French have. So let's start with a move ship order and see what we get. I'll show you this one. So this is fire ships. Move 1 ship to safe anchorage ship in Upper St. Lawrence first. So I'd have to move one of these guys to there, which would be not appropriate to my plan. So instead, we're going to roll and take a chance. Let's see what we get. We rolled a 5. Ship damage, move to sink. So I have to do it anyway, unfortunately, and I lose 2 morale, which is painful. So that is not that's not what we want to be doing. So I'm running out of time here. Running out of time here to get to the Plains of Abraham. I need to reduce French morale. So I think what I'm going to do now is actually attack Beauport and do an attack on Lower Quebec, and I'm going to use my aggressive commander action. You can see that we get a lot of losses here. So command conflicts. Cancel the order issued for the turn or proceed with the order at a +1 modifier. Defend Lower Quebec is here. That's going to automatically result in British casualties. So we're just going to cancel that order. And unfortunately, I've wasted that really good command action. So that's the way the system goes sometimes. It's like you don't know what's coming, and therefore like the game just hoses you. So that's probably my chance to win taken away from me right there, which is not a great feeling. It's like, should I bother even playing the final 3 cards knowing that that the British are going to lose? You know, you have to be okay with that kind of turn of events in order to appreciate the game. I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I mean, it is unexpected and fun, but it does feel a little cheap. And like I said, I would like to play this 2-player because I think the way that it's designed solo is just kind of meant to pound you and punish you no matter what you do. And so it never feels like you're being rewarded for the choices you're making. I mean, it does a little bit, but like I have gotten so many cancel orders in this game. Like I've lost probably 5 to 7 turns, which is, I think, insurmountable to win. So if you like kind of that difficult smash your head against the wall feeling, you might enjoy this. If you don't, you probably won't enjoy this. I mean, I think it's fun from a thematic standpoint, but it does kind of annoy me. So let's play out the final 3 cards here, and then I'll probably switch sides and play the French. I think at this point, I am going to let's attack up there and see if we can wipe out. Actually, let's attack here. We're going to attack Lower Quebec again. What do we get? Fire ships. I gotta move a ship or keep it in safe anchorage. Well, I don't know. Let's just try and see what happens. I rolled a 6, of course, naturally. Ship sunk, removed from play. So they've sunk a British ship. We lose 2 morale. In my experience, it does seem the attacker in this system is at a distinct disadvantage in terms of what can happen to them. Okay, so we do the order. Defend all positions. So it's a 50-50 chance for a casualty here in Beauport. We rolled a 1. That's going to be 1 casualty to the French, so that's pretty good. Just not enough, perhaps. Next, we're going to do that again. Yeah, let's do that again. And we're going to use our second aggressive commander action here. So we're going to see what happens. So, raid on British batteries. Bombard Quebec is played. Cancel the order. There is not a bombard order played. And so they're defending all positions again. So once again, it's a 50-50 chance here. We're going to use our second order. So we're going to roll both dice. Let's see what we get. We get a 4 and a 5. So a 5 here is going to be 1 French loss and 2 British losses, which is actually going to lose the British the game. So here's the 1 French loss and the 2 British losses. And we rolled a 4 up here, which would have been another British loss. So, yeah, that's the end of the game. That is the British defeated by the French pretty handily. Not a fan of how swingy that luck was in that game. It felt like no matter what I did, it was basically like, fuck you, you don't get to do it. So Again, probably shines more in a two-player game, but I'm going to switch this over and play the French, and I'll kind of go through that real quick with you as well. All right, well, we're off to a pretty good start here for the French. I'm playing the French this time. And, well, good start for French allies. The Indians have made a couple of devastating raids. The Native Americans have made a couple of devastating raids on the forces at Levis and the British artillery emplacements. That has driven down British morale pretty significantly. We tried to do some counterattacking in the Beauport region against some of the British forces. As you can see, the French have taken some, pretty significant losses from that force. We've also held tight under British bombardment. That has resulted in some of these being casualties as well. We did do one to the British here at Levis, but we have not been able to eliminate a British gun as of yet. I think at this point, I'm going to continue to make an Indian raid. Continue to make Indian raids to see if we can't put some more pressure. The Indian raids can actually just lower morale a whole bunch, and I think we want to keep that going. So Montreal supplies. I can proceed with the order as issued or cancel the order and send for supplies from Montreal by rolling a die. So it's possible I can lose 2 morale, I can increase the British morale, or I can have 50-50 chance to increase French morale by 2. And if there are British ships in the upper St. Lawrence, of which the British, this has basically been their only success, they've managed to move their fleet up here, which is bad news for me. It's a -1 die roll, so I'm probably not going to take this chance. So we're going to proceed with the order as usual. I'm not going to send for supplies, and they're doing Rangers, and I'm doing an Indian raid. So this is actually not good for me because the Rangers are sort of counterattacking. We rolled a 4. That's going to be 1 French loss. Ouch. Well, that doesn't actually hurt my morale, but it does lose me one of my Native American allies. So let's do that again and see what we get. Again, Montreal supplies, and I'm not going to send for them. They're defending, this time, they're defending lower Quebec, which is here. So we have a 1/3 chance of lowering morale. Ooh, we rolled a 6 again. That's the second 6 they've rolled on this chart. So that's another 2 morale loss for the British. The Native Americans wreaking havoc on British lines out here. We're probably just going to continue doing that until we, see if we can get that even lower. I need to press the advantage there and make sure the British can't get a foothold on Abraham or anywhere else. So that's how it's going right now. We're kind of in a tenuous back and forth position, but I feel pretty good about this particular game. But as you know, it can turn on a dime. Okay, well, I'm going to blame this one on sort of a misplay from me. I should have been more on top of these ships being in the upper St. Lawrence. As you can see, Wolfe lands at Abraham, just got played. That means all of the units from the British Reserve down at Orléans have moved across here to the Plains of Abraham. Now, what this means for me is that I have to use the attack the British at Abraham order. I cannot do anything else until I've wiped these guys out. So that's really unfortunate. Yeah, and it's not a great series of tables. There's going to be some attrition in this one. This one's 50-50, this one's 50-50, and this one, again, pretty bad. Either of these would be actually pretty bad. But I have to use this. I have to use the attack British at Abraham because the British have landed there, so not great. But I can do an aggressive commander action if I want, and I think I might do that just because I'm winning the morale battle right now. I can probably afford to give up some units. So let's go ahead and use our first aggressive command action. Superior seamanship, so this is just movement of British ships, which they've already accomplished that objective. So we've got Rangers, so attack the British. So Rangers, okay, so not the worst column in the world, it's 50-50. I am using my aggressive action, so let's see what we get. We got 4s on both dice, which is actually quite good here because we do a loss to the British on the Plains of Abraham. That moves the morale down there. And then a 4 here is actually no effect. So actually, that turned out okay. We did some losses to the British. We've got to do that again, so it's pretty easy at this point. Guns of Quebec, proceed with order as issued, or cancel the order issued and engage with the guns of Quebec. This one does not do me any good, so I'm going to actually continue with the order as issued. They've chosen counterattack. Which is not good here. Hopefully we can roll high. I could potentially use another aggressive commander action, which I think I'm going to do. So we got to try and drive them out of here. I'm going to be really hyper aggressive about it. We rolled a 1, so that's not good. We lose 2 French forces from the Plains of Abraham. That's 2 morale. But on the black die, we rolled a 5, and that's good for us. So that is going to eliminate 2 British forces and 1 French force. And we've evened things up there. And now British morale very low here as we're fighting here on the plains. Montcalm's aggressive charge, which I think historically is pretty relative, pretty reflective of some of his strategies in history in terms of going on the offensive as the British formed outside the city. So let's go ahead again. We have to attack the British at Abraham to drive them off. So let's see what we get. Supplies cut. At least one British ship must be in the upper St. Lawrence, otherwise ignore the action. Well, it is. Remove 2 of your troops from any location or locations. Well, that's not good. I've got troops out of supply at this point. Probably makes sense to remove one here and one here. You don't want to leave those empty because that affects our morale. So that's 2 morale that we've lost there. That's okay. And they're choosing Rangers. And so we're again on the 50-50 column here. Let's see what we get. We rolled a 2, sadly. So that's going to be another elimination. French starting to feel the pain a little bit. All right, we've got to attack the British at Abraham again. The battle continues to rage. Again, oh, that sucks. Supplies cut. So we've got, oh boy, this is very bad. So we'll remove one here. We'll remove one here. That's another 2 morale. The British have really caught up here. They're doing defend lower Quebec. So we're on this column. I can potentially do 2 hits to the British here, which would be great. If I can, that would win me the games if I roll a 6 right here. I rolled a 3, sadly. So that's going to lose that. And the British, with their supply, they've cut our supplies in the rest of Quebec. Now we're even. So we might be coming down to the end here. Yeah, not good. Guns of Quebec, proceed with the order as issued. Don't want to engage the guns. Yep, so they're defending lower Quebec again. So if I can roll a 6 here, this would win me the game. It's coming down to it. If I roll a 6, I win because they're defending lower Quebec again. Come on. I rolled another 3. That's going to be the last unit here on the Plains of Abraham, which is not good. Oh boy. Somehow the British have clawed this back. I am shocked. Okay, well, I have to do it because they're still here. So the rule is if you take hits to an empty spot, you lose morale. I think extra morale. So let's see what we get. Indians leave. Remove 1 troop marker from an Indians area. Okay, that doesn't affect my morale, so we're okay there. But they can see which way the wind is blowing. Defending upper Quebec. This one, if I roll basically anything other than a 6 here, I think the game is over. Let's see what we get. If I could roll a 6, that'd be fantastic. Oh, I rolled a 5. That is heartbreaking. So we're going to each take a loss, which unfortunately I don't have the loss to give, so that's going to do that. And the British, as they try and storm the city, are down to 1, and they just pull it out. The British just pulled it out there. So that game was a lot more fun than the last one. I thought I had the British beat. The Indians were doing great work. They were raiding the troops. I was like double their morale at one point in the game, and they were just, the card draw came out. Got really tense there at the end. I think my major mistake, I'm going to blame this one on me more so than the cards. My major mistake was not using my fire ships actions to stop this from happening. I should have, as soon as the first ship went up here, I should have tried to use that to flick them out of there. It wasn't a sure thing, but certainly that's what allowed them to land at Abraham. And I think as the French, once you get once these troops land here, you're kind of in a bad way. I think you have the advantage while there are no ships and the inability for the British to land troops here, but as soon as the British do, you can see how quickly the morale went down with these supplies cut cards. You know, those are devastating. So tip for playing the French: do not let the British get their naval superiority here. Otherwise, you're going to be in a world of hurt. So close there, but the British eked this one out. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this look at 1759 Siege of Quebec. That was enjoyable. I think I played both games in about 45 minutes, and I will check in again with some impressions about the 2-player game after I get it played. But I'm surprised at how much I'm enjoying this series. I mean, I thought it would be fun, but right now I feel like I want to set this up again and try again and play it again. So that's a good sign for a game, especially as someone who doesn't play solo games. Thanks for watching, and let me know if you want to see any footage of 414 BC, the Siege of Syracuse. That's the 3rd game in this system that I have not yet played or opened. Anyways, take care.